Good evening out there. Good evening, my friends. Madeline and I wanted to show off our matching shirts today, repping our friends Candy and Lee at Apocalypso 2. Just wanted to give them a shout out during our read aloud and thank them for being such good friends of ours and of the Island Free Library. So we just thought we looked cute, so we wanted to show it off. Right, Madeline? Okay. You ready? Okay, say bye. Bye. Okay, we just wanted to show off our cute shirts. I hope everyone's doing okay. It was a nice day out today. We got some fresh air. And I'm going to read some more of our book, Finding Langston by Lisa Klein Ransom. We'll get started in just a second here. When we left off, it was right after Langston had been hurt by Lyman. When he pushed him down and was hitting him. So he's home now. He's all bruised up and hurt. So we're going to see what happens next. He's home with his dad. His dad's trying to take care of him. We're going to pick up with chapter 11. Daddy takes a gray linty handkerchief from his pocket. Wipe your eyes, he says. I wipe, but the tears keep coming. We sit quiet, looking everywhere but at each other. Finally, I say, I want to go back to Alabama. Can't do that, son, Daddy says. Our home is here now. This ain't my home, I say before thinking. Daddy doesn't stand for any back talk, but he sits quiet. Langston, Daddy sighs. This is our chance for something better. Alabama was my home, too, but after your mama passed. Daddy looks like he's choking and starts again. After your mama passed, I knew I couldn't stay. For me, Alabama is her and us. Without her, ain't nothing left for me there. Fast as they started, my tears stop, and I can finally look up at Daddy. I hand him back his handkerchief, and he dabs at his eyes hard. Every year, me and your mama worked. Seemed like we fell deeper in debt to Mr. Clanton. Getting out was the only way to get ahead. Me and your mama heard a lot of folks talk about it north. A man can provide for his family without always scraping and bowing. Your mama wanted to come north something bad. She didn't want you working a plot. We were just waiting for the right time, I guess. Then it was too late. I was lucky to get my job down at the plant. Lucky folks here still want to hire a colored man with all the soldiers coming back. I ain't got to spend my days yes sirring and no sirring. Just do the work and collect my check at the end of the week, with enough to help out back home too. Helps me hold my head just a little bit higher. You understand what I'm saying? I nod. We got to make the best of this for your mama. She'd be proud of you going to school and me making a way. But don't you miss Grandma and Aunt Lena and being back in? He don't let me finish. I'm planning on sending for them as soon as I can, he says. As soon as I can get a bigger place, some more money saved. Hearing that makes my heart beat a little bit faster, thinking about Grandma and Aunt Lena and my cousins coming to Chicago. Daddy stands. Let's get started on dinner before it gets cold, he says. But I ain't got no appetite, thinking about Lyman and tomorrow. Hear you had some trouble today at school. Big mouth, Miss Fulton. Wasn't nothing really, I say, pretending to eat. Just horsing around and I slipped. You know lying's a sin, Daddy says. Yes, sir. Go on and tell what happened. Daddy reaches for more chicken. I take a deep breath. There's a boy, Lyman. He's real mean. Calls me country boy. Country boy? Daddy laughs with his mouth full. I don't see what's funny. Lyman and his friends. Friends? Yeah, Errol and Clem. They always on me too. They say my overalls is country and the way I talk. Today he punched me when I told him to leave me alone. Daddy looks like he's doing some serious thinking. He says tomorrow he's going to finish what he started. Again from Daddy. What do you do when he hit you? He asks. Kept walking, I say. Daddy's asking more questions than he's giving answers. So I ask, what do you think I should do? Bible says turn the other cheek, Daddy says. I knew that was coming, but I just nod like it's the first time I heard it. Daddy is washing up the dishes when we hear a knock on the door. Both of us surprised, 'cause ain't no one ever knocked on our door before. Who is it? Daddy asks. It's Pearl, Henry. Who is Pearl? Daddy opens the door and Miss Fulton is standing there holding 2 plates. I made some apple pie tonight and thought maybe you and Langston might like some. Why, thank you, Pearl. When did Daddy start calling her Pearl? He reaches for the plates. Like to come in for a minute? Daddy asks. Oh, no, no. I just wanted to drop those off. Figured you could both use a little something to sweeten your day. Thank you, Pearl. I'll get these plates back to you in the morning. No rush, Henry, Miss Fulton says. Didn't even know she could smile like that. Her teeth are so white and pretty they could light up a room. Daddy hands the plates to me and closes the door. We sit at the table and eat about some of the best apple pie I ever had. Me and Daddy's plates barely need washing. We scrape them so clean. Miss Fulton was right. This day really did need some sweetening. When me and Daddy leave for school in the morning, Daddy turns right instead of left to the L train. I'm going to walk you to school today, Daddy says. I barely slept last night thinking about Lyman. I thought about pretending I was sick, but seeing as I told Daddy all about yesterday wasn't no use. Daddy's walking fast. I know his boss down at the Maxwell Brothers plant will give him a hard time if he's too late. Daddy says they fired one man came in late 2 days in a row. Daddy takes the L and a bus to get to work, but he still gets there early every day. Don't believe in giving them one more excuse to knock a colored man down, Daddy says all the time. We walk through the schoolyard, still almost empty. We go right up the front stairs, turn left inside, and Daddy walks into the principal's office. He tells me to wait outside. Time Daddy comes out, the hall is filled and emptied again. Go on to class, Daddy says. I'll see you at home later. I go on up to class late and look around the room for Lyman. He sits all the way in the back, but his chair is empty. If Daddy got Lyman in trouble with the principal, it's going to be worse for me than before. I sit at my desk and look like I'm listening to Mrs. Robbins go on, just counting the minutes till 3 o'clock. Chapter 12. First thing I do when I get to the library is walk row by row, seeing what books make me stop. Some of the titles I can't help but pull off the shelves. I try to take out as many as I can each time. Means my satchel is heavier than a bag of rocks, but I keep them there out of sight. It's better to read in the library. Sitting at my favorite table by the window, reading and listening to the sound of other folks turning pages makes me feel like I'm in a house full of company. Full of company I don't have to talk to. Miss Cook sometimes puts aside books she thinks I'll like, especially the ones by Langston Hughes. Every time she hands me one of his, she says, here's another from your namesake. I know there ain't no chance Mama named me for a poet who wrote pretty words, but it feels good to hear her say it. Red clay blues. I want to tramp in the red mud, Lord, and feel the red clay round my toes. I want to wade in that red mud, feel that red clay sucking at my toes. I want my little farm back, and I don't care where that landlord goes. In Langston Hughes' words, I can smell that earthy clay in the front yard, can hear the voice of my mama. I make my way over to Miss Cook's desk. Excuse me, ma'am? She looks up. Is Mr. Langston Hughes from Alabama? Good question. Let's see if we can find out. She gets up and walks me back to the nonfiction section. She pulls one book off the shelf and hands it to me. This is a biography by the author, so it's a good place to start. Biography, I ask, like a story about his life? I learned that in school. Yes, exactly, she smiles. You may just find you have a lot in common with your namesake. I'll check this one out, I tell her. I can see Daddy on the stoop as I get close to the apartment. He's looking for me, so I pick up my pace. Where you been? Daddy yells, not even waiting for me to walk up the steps. He don't wait for an answer. Something happened and I gotta go. Where are we going? I ask, scared. Not me. You gonna stay here. In the apartment, Daddy's suitcase is sitting on the bed, piled with his clothes, his black suit, and tie on top. Where are you going? I don't know when I've been more scared. Daddy sits on the bed. Son, he starts, your grandma took a turn. Your Aunt Lena called at my job. She passed this morning. Grandma? Feels like I can't breathe. I'm gonna come with. Can't, Langston. Barely got enough for one fare, let alone two. My boss said I could take a week and settle my affairs, then I'll be back. But Daddy, how am I gonna? Now I talked to Pearl, Miss Fulton, and she's gonna look in on you every day, gonna make your meals and such, and see you after school while I'm gone. I can't imagine this day getting any worse, but it just did. The last morning I saw Mama alive, Grandma sent me off to school. You're not doing anybody any good sitting around with that long face, she told me. I'll look after your Mama. She'd want you in school, Grandma said as she fixed me a big plate of fried eggs. But after school, just before I got to the house, I could see Pastor Lawson coming down the front steps, and I could see Daddy's big arm around Grandma's shoulders, and Grandma wiping her eyes with her handkerchief. I ran hard as I could. Time I got up to the porch, I was out of breath, and I knew why the pastor was there. "She's gone!" I screamed, running into the house. Mama was laid out on the bed. Grandma had brushed out her hair, put her in a clean gown. And now Grandma. She'll never get a chance to see Chicago. I sit down to keep my head from spinning. Daddy jumps up and snaps his suitcase shut. Gotta leave now if I'm gonna make that train. I wrap my arms around Daddy's waist, my head in his chest. His shirt still has the sour smell from the paper plant. Probably ain't done this since I was little, but I don't care. Don't want Daddy to go and leave me alone in Chicago. Feels like I'm losing everyone. Can't I go too? I sound like a baby, but I don't care. I already explained it, Langston. I'll be back in 1 week. He pulls free and heads for the door. As I hear him go down the stairs, I sprawl on my bed. No tears, no fussing, just my head filling with pictures of my grandma. There's a knock on the door, and I don't need to guess who it is. I take my time getting up. I open the door, and Miss Fulton steps in without being invited. "I'm so sorry about your grandmother, Langston," she says. She takes a look around the apartment. "So I guess your daddy told you I'd be checking in on you?" "Yes, ma'am. Supper should be ready soon. You must have homework to do. You can get started on that, and I'll knock when it's time to eat. Would you be more comfortable sitting with me across the hall?" Miss Fulton looks nervous. "No, ma'am. I'll stay here and do my homework." "Okay, then." Over supper, I can see Miss Fulton is trying, and I know I should be trying back, but between my daddy being gone and my grandma passing on, I can't make myself. "How was school today?" Miss Fulton asks. "Fine," I say. I'll say one thing for Miss Fulton. She can put together some dinner. I ain't had a meal this good since I left home. Pork chops smothered in gravy, green beans floating in butter, cornbread hot and fluffy. I'm about to burst, but I can't stop eating. "You are hungry," she says as I scoop more gravy onto my plate to dip the rest of my cornbread. "Yes, ma'am." I don't look up again till the cornbread is gone and my plate is clean. Chapter 13. Daddy hasn't been gone one day, and already I don't care much for being alone. But the one thing about Daddy being gone is I can read all I want right out in the open, like at the library. Feels good to see all my books unpacked and piled on the floor next to my bed. I pick up the biography and can't get past the cover for staring at his name and the title, The Big C. On the back of the book, I see his picture. Brown just like me, with shiny wavy hair like the ladies that come out of the beauty parlor on Saturdays. His smile reminds me of the pictures I saw lined in a row. The esteemed Negro writers Miss Kimball talked about when I first visited the library. Now I'm going to need to go and see if Mr. Hughes' picture has been hanging upstairs the whole time I've been downstairs reading his books. I imagine him my age and think of all the questions I need answers to. What books did he read? How did he start writing poetry? Why did he? And all of a sudden, I remember the letters. The box is still pushed into the corner under Daddy's bed. Daddy's voice is in my head, but it's not making me stop reaching for the letters in the bottom of the box. The ribbon is old and crinkly and nearly falls apart when I untie it. The ink is so faded I can't read all the words, but I see words I don't want to see, like Henry, love, night, baby, Tina. My head is pounding fast as my heart. Letters from Mama. Now it does feel like I'm stealing secrets from Mama and Daddy. Secrets I ain't supposed to know. But instead of tying the letters up and putting them back in the box, I spread them out on Daddy's bed and just look. Mama's writing was always so neat, with big loops and little ones, my fancy writing, she used to call it. I always keep a piece of Mama with me wherever I go, and now I know Daddy does too, in this box under his bed. Now I took his piece too. I start folding up each letter, neat as I can, but stop when I get to the next to the last one. My black one, thou art not beautiful, yet thou hast a loveliness surpassing beauty. Mama was so tired after working our plot and putting dinner together, she could barely keep her eyes open after supper. Ain't no way she sat and wrote poetry. There were so many questions in my head, I can't think. Loveliness surpassing beauty. Wish I could have seen what Daddy wrote back if he did. Is this what they whispered at night when I had to cover my head with my pillow? I finish folding up the letters and tie the ribbon, slip them back in the box and sit on Daddy's bed. Tired now, but not sleepy. Gotta head over to Miss Fulton's for supper soon, so I put my books back in my satchel. All except the biography. I turn to the first page, still thinking about how you could know someone so well, but not know them at all. I make myself keep moving so I'm not late again for school. Without Daddy moving fast in the morning, keeping me going till we get out the door, seems I just can't make myself move fast. Daddy told Miss Fulton I can make my own breakfast, only I wish he hadn't. Because after I burned the last two pieces of bread, I had to eat some crackers and a nasty shriveled up apple. I bet Miss Fulton makes a mean breakfast. Eggs, and sausage, and gravy. I run out the door, zip in my jacket, trying not to think about how empty my belly is. Straight after school, I rushed to the library and downstairs to tell Miss Cook that Langston Hughes isn't from Alabama, but from Missouri and Kansas. On a map at school, I saw they are next door neighbors to Illinois. That he traveled all over the world and went to college in New York and loved living there in a place called Harlem. That when he traveled the world and lived far from his mama, he was lonely too and wrote poems about it. That he. Clem is standing at the desk talking to Miss Cook. They followed me here? I look around quick for Lyman and Errol and don't see them anywhere. That doesn't make no sense. Clem bothers with me only if Lyman is around. I'm standing still not knowing which way to turn when Clem looks up, stares right at me. You boys know each other from school? Miss Cook asked, just as sweet as can be. Nope, we both say at the same time. Oh, pardon me, you look like you knew each other. She stamps the book Clem is holding. These are due back in 2 weeks, Clem, she says. Clem walks past me with his head down. Something inside me starts growing till my chest is pounding. I follow him out and take the steps 2 at a time behind him. At the top, I say, You here with Lyman and Errol? Get away from me, country boy, he says, and keeps on walking. I grab his arm to stop him. I ain't your country boy! Words coming out louder than I knew they could. Don't know when I've been this mad. You can't be following me here! Boys, Miss Cook says from the bottom of the stairs, keep your voices down. Look, I ain't here with Lyman or Errol, just came to get some books is all. Here in the stairwell, Clem looks so small and skinny. Me and my big self looks like I could crush him without trying hard. I let his arm go. This is where you come after school? Clem asks. Why are you asking? You bringing Lyman back? He don't know. I come by myself some Thursdays when my mama got to work late for her family. My mind is working hard trying to figure out if he's lying or tricking me or just likes books as much as I do. All I can get out is, You come every day? Clem asks. Like everything's okay between us when he knows it ain't? What's it to you? I ask. You ever come when those big-time writers are here for their meetings? Once there were so many folks upstairs, Miss Kimball came downstairs to get extra chairs. What big-time writers? I ask, before I remember I'm not even supposed to be talking to Clem. But I'm hoping Clem knows more about the writers upstairs in the pictures. I don't know any of their names, but Miss Kimball said they're famous, that their work is important. The last words he says with a fancy girl's voice as he stretches his neck forward and blinks fast and laughs. I can't help but smile a little bit. See you later, Clem says. I gotta get on home. I wait till I see Clem leave, then I walk toward the front of the library, past the tall bookshelves and toward the row of pictures. At long wooden tables, folks sit reading or with books spread out, some scribbling down words on pads of paper. At other table, folks are whispering together. I make sure no one is watching me, and then I walk to the end of the row. The first picture is a woman, the second too. That makes me stare a little longer because I never knew women wrote books, especially colored women. But here are their pictures and their names underneath. Margaret Walker and Gwendolyn Brooks. I keep walking down the row past Richard Wright, Arnabon Tomps, then I stop in front of Langston Hughes. I don't even need to look down at his name to recognize his face and shiny wavy hair. Don't know how long I stand staring before I hear "Excuse me" behind me. An older lady is waiting to get past, and I move to the side. Shamed now to have been standing staring at pictures I know no one else ever stops to look at, I head on back downstairs. But now, sitting at the table with my books, I'm just pretending to read. My mind is wondering if I'll ever meet Langston Hughes at the library. And wondering, too, if Clem is going to tell Lyman he saw me here. I feel Miss Cook's hand on my back. She leans over. Is everything okay, Langston? She asks. I look at her and nod, packing up my books. Walking home, I think about me chasing after Clem, and I feel lighter somehow. It's not till I get to my steps I realize it's the first time I ever yelled at someone. A little more chapter tonight, chapter 14. Turns out Miss Fulton ain't no trouble at all, almost like she took a vacation from herself. After being alone with Daddy for so long, I ain't used to this much talking, but it ain't so bad. I figure her living alone makes her want to talk. Besides, her food is so good, her steady talking gives me more time to eat. And she's pretty. Prettier than I thought, at least. Her skin is smooth and her eyes light up when she's telling a story. Her hair is pulled into a bun on top of her head, and she has those pearl earrings I've seen rich ladies wearing. My mama didn't even have her ears pierced. She said she wouldn't waste her money on earrings. Miss Fulton's earrings and hair and proper talk make her look like a real lady. She teaches English at Dunbar High School. Born and raised in Chicago, got 2 sisters, 1 brother. She talks so much I could write her biography. All your folks live in Chicago? I asked, between mouthfuls. just to keep her talking so I can keep on eating. Funny you asked, she says, getting up from the table. She brings one of the pictures she keeps in a frame. These are my parents, Anne and Albert Fulton. They came here from the South like you, only from Charlottesville, Virginia. But I was born here, the oldest of four. My parents still live at 45th and St. Lawrence. She looks proud and keeps staring at the picture. So your brothers and sisters live in Chicago? I reach for another spoonful of rice, and Miss Fulton doesn't even notice. My brother William lives in Indiana with his family, but my sisters are here. One is at Crane College over on the west side, and the other is a teacher like me. I nod. Sounds to me like she comes from a real smart family. You always wanted to be a teacher? For as long as I can remember, I've always loved reading, so I didn't know what else to do, what else to be. After I finished high school, I enrolled in college, just part-time at first. Looks like Miss Fulton had been waiting for me to ask this question. Her eyes are bright and she's leaning toward me in her seat. I had an aunt who was also a teacher, and she encouraged me to get an education degree. So that's what I did. And now, Miss Fulton acts like she doesn't remember because she starts counting on her fingers. This will be my 10th year. What kind of books does your class read? 2 more years before I'm in high school, and I'm already counting the days till I get out of Haynes Junior High and away from Lyman. We just started a unit on poetry, she tells me. That makes me put down my fork. Poetry? Yes, she answers, and walks over to a small bookcase in the corner. Stacked on top are magazines she sets on the floor, some with pictures of black books on the cover. I'd like to get a look at the ones with names like Life, The Crisis, and Ebony, but I'll have to ask Miss Fulton another time. Never even noticed any of this before, probably because I was too busy smelling her lavender smell. Of course, the school likes me to teach all the classic poets, Emerson, Frost, Dickinson, but I always include some of our own as well. Paul Laurence Dunbar, for one, she says, opening one of the books she sets on the table and turning to the first page to the list of poets. So all these are colored poets? I look down at the list of names I never heard of. Yes, they are. Many are from the Harlem Renaissance, and some, excuse me, she turns the page, are from right here in Chicago. My head is trying to keep everything straight. Harlem. I know that from reading the biography. Harlem, New York, I ask? But really telling, because I want her to know I know a little something. Exactly, she says, brightening up the room again with her smile. I go back to looking at the names. Arna Bontemps, Gwendolyn Brooks. I know these names from the library pictures. County Cullen, W.E.B. Du Bois, Jessie Fawcett. These I don't. Right away, I see Mr. Langston Hughes. You'll be reading Langston Hughes, I ask? Oh, yes, he's one of my favorites. She smiles some more. In fact, she says, serious now, I've heard him read one of his works not too long ago at the Hall Library. They have a wonderful lecture form run by the librarian there. Do you know his work? I suppose. I don't know how much I want to be telling Miss Fulton. Me and the library and books and Mr. Langston Hughes are something I'm keeping to myself. Maybe I'll read something of his after dinner, she says. If you want, I say, hoping she can't see how much I want to hear her read. I help her scrape the plates, wash and dry the dishes, and then we sit at the table, and Miss Fulton picks up the other book. Its pages are old and worn, some are just about to fall out, some have folded down corners. But she finds the page she's looking for and starts reading. The Negro Mother. Children, I come back today to tell you a story of the long, dark way. I close my eyes, listening. His words sound even prettier without me stumbling over them in my head. Miss Fulton reads in a way that sounds like she's singing a song. Langston, are you awake? She asks. Yes, Miss Fulton. I open my eyes. Oh, you looked like you were asleep. She keeps on. I make my eyes stay open and watch her mouth sound out each word, making them sing. Finally, she finishes. I don't care what she thinks now. Can you read that one more time? I ask her. How about I read another? She says, flipping to one of the turned down pages. No, that one, please. I think she sees something in my face that says I need to hear it again, because she doesn't ask any more questions, turns back the page, and starts again. When I lie in my bed that night, I think about Grandma and how I never got a chance to say goodbye. When Mama passed, Grandma told me Mama is always going to be my guardian angel. She'll be looking out for you wherever you go, she said. So don't you go shaming her. Respect yourself and everyone around you, and you'll make her proud. I nearly cried myself to death thinking about Mama up in heaven all alone. But now Grandma will be with her. The both of them my guardian angels. First night since I came to Chicago, the night sounds are quiet. No music from next door, no loud talking on the stoop. Even the rats scratching in the wall are quieter. After Miss Fulton's reading, I don't want to hear my voice reading tonight. I'm just holding on to hers. But I remember the names from the pictures and in the book. And as soon as I leave school tomorrow, those are the ones I'll be looking for in the library. So we will end up. We will read some more tomorrow. We even finish it. We'll see. But we will pick back up tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Story time at 4. And then we'll do read aloud at 6. I hope everyone has a good night out there. Be well, stay safe. Until next time.